For thousands of years, people have practiced meditation for spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. But from a scientific perspective, how exactly does meditating affect your body? Does it really do anything? It all starts in the brain. During meditation, brain scans see increased activity in regions directly correlated with decreased anxiety and depression, along with increased pain tolerance. The default mode network, in particular, is activated when one's mind is at rest and not focusing on the outside world, and has been found to improve memory, self-awareness, and goal setting. Want to be more caring to your friends and family? When scientists compared the brains of Buddhist monks to new meditators, they found the region of the brain associated with empathy to be much more pronounced in the monks. It also literally changes your brain waves, and we can measure these frequencies. Meditators have higher levels of alpha waves, which have been shown to reduce feelings of negative mood, tension, sadness, and anger. And if that wasn't enough, it also physically changes our brain shape and size. Studies found that after 8 weeks of a meditation program, gray matter was more dense in areas associated with learning, memory processing, and emotion regulation. And yet the amygdala, which deals with stress, blood pressure, and fear, had decreased gray matter. When we look at the entire body, not only do we see decreased blood pressure, but it can also increase the variability of your heart rate. And while this may sound harmful, it actually plays a critical role in properly transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout your body. Think you're getting sick? In a study where both meditators and non-meditators were given the flu virus, meditators were able to produce a greater number of antibodies and had increased immune function. If we go a little deeper, we can even see changes on a cellular level. Your chromosomes have protective protein complexes called telomeres, which help reduce damage to your DNA and lower cell death. And a shortened telomere length has been linked to several diseases such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Amazingly, when cancer survivors completed a meditation program, their bodies showed significant increases in telomere length. It's believed that psychological intervention, particularly decreasing stress, has a direct effect on the enzyme telomerase, which has been shown to counteract shortening by adding DNA to the shrinking telomeres. Of course, meditation is not a substitute for other medical advice or a healthy lifestyle. We don't want you leaving this video thinking it will cure cancer. But much like hitting the gym can grow your muscles and increase your overall health, it seems that meditation may be a way of working out your brain with extra health benefits. And since your brain controls, well, all of you, why not relax and say, every once in a while?
Even people not afflicted by mental illness will acknowledge that they have a voice in their heads. But it's not from the gods, it's their own voice saying, "This shirt makes me look fat. I wonder if I'll ever get promoted. I bet my boss likes Jerry better than me. And I can't believe that thing that was bad happened to me." The default mode network seems to be what is responsible for this annoying inner narrator. This narrator is known in some Eastern traditions as the monkey mind. It's just as it sounds, an annoying, repetitive stream of information about yourself, how other people are thinking about you, and ruminations about the past and worries about the future. A 2010 paper by Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert describes how they developed a smartphone app that would randomly ping people throughout the day and ask what they were doing and how happy they were. Based on almost 250,000 queries posed to about 5,000 people from 83 different countries, they found that people are thinking about what is not happening almost as often as they are thinking about what is. And doing so typically makes them unhappy. The title of the paper is "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." So what can we do about this? Well, meditation has been shown to be a great way to lower activity in the default mode network and turn down the inner chatter that comes with it. Yale psychiatric professor Judson Brewer and his colleagues studied practitioners of several different meditation styles and found that their brain's default mode network shows less activity. This was true, of course, during meditation, but there was less activity even when they weren't doing anything. With meditation, they actually changed their brain's standard mode of operation to be less distracted. This seems reason enough to meditate, but meditation has an almost laughably long list of health benefits. It lowers your levels of stress hormones, lowers your blood pressure, boosts your immune system, mitigates depression, anxiety, ADHD, and age-related cognitive decline. It can even help with things like psoriasis and irritable bowel syndrome. After a while, it starts to sound like one of those "doctors hate him" advertisements that you see on the side of a webpage. But there are hundreds of studies documenting these kinds of benefits. Tim Ferriss says more than 80% of the world-class performers I've interviewed have some form of daily meditation or mindfulness practice. He also says that it is a meta skill that improves everything else. There are various types of meditation, but they mostly have one thing in common. They are improving your abilities of awareness and attention. This skill of attention is even more important nowadays. Our awareness is constantly being redirected by advertisements, emails, and especially by a magical rectangle in our pockets. And it seems that the more we unconsciously let our attention be directed and redirected, the less aware we become of the fact that it is happening. As Yuval Harari says in his book Homo Deus, in ancient times, having power meant having access to data. Today, having power means knowing what to ignore. In general, most forms of meditation are helping you to develop something called mindfulness. As John Kabat-Zinn, creator of the Center for Mindfulness in Medicine, says, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. For example, a common method of meditation is to sit upright in a comfortable position and focus on the feeling of your breath. Then, when you notice that your mind has wandered, bring your attention back to the breath. Paying attention non-judgmentally means to pay attention only to the raw sensory data of the breath. Naturally, your inner narrator will have you think about things like whether you're breathing too fast, how much time has passed, and before you know it, you'll be thinking of the way Darth Vader breathes, James Earl Jones, and The Lion King. At this point, you should redirect your attention back to the breath. It can be annoying to notice that you are unsuccessful in maintaining your focus, but this is the whole point. This redirecting of attention is like a bicep curl for the brain. As Dan Harris, author of 10% Happier, puts it, you are breaking a lifetime habit of walking around in a
fog, in a daydream of projection into the future and rumination about the past, and you are actually focusing on what's happening right now.
Not only this, meditation allows you to sit in the experiences of life without letting them control you. A straightforward example of this is pain. In this presentation, Kelly McGonigal is discussing a study led by Joseph Grant at the University of Montreal, where they took experienced Zen meditators and non-meditators and inflicted them with the same type of pain, thermal heat, delivered via this thing strapped to their calf. What the study found was that experienced meditators needed higher levels of heat in order to achieve the same level of pain. What these brain scans are showing is the difference between meditators and non-meditators while they are asked to attend normally to the pain. They aren't meditating, this is their brain's standard mode of operation. Non-meditators showed more activation in evaluative regions associated with the default mode network and inner chatter. Meditators, however, showed more activation in sensory pain processing regions. There is more activity in areas of the brain that listen to pain, like the insula and the thalamus. And the networks associated with paying attention to the pain and making commentary about the pain were functionally decoupled. What this means is that these regions were not firing together as they normally do. So the meditators can feel the pain with more clarity, but derive less suffering from it because they are attending to the pain non-judgmentally. They can examine the raw sensory data of the pain without coupling it to a dialogue about the pain. Sam Harris, author of the book Waking Up, logically breaks this down in an interview with Joe Rogan. He gives the example of having a massive soreness in your shoulder from one of two situations. One, you're very sore because you hit a new personal best on deadlift. Or the soreness might be the result of cancer and you're waiting for the biopsy results to confirm this. So the sensation could be pleasant or unpleasant depending on the conceptual frame. The pain could be coupled with pride or intense anxiety. Being able to decouple sensation from your evaluating inner dialogue would be an incredibly useful skill. Hudson Brewer gives an excellent example of this. He explains in a TED-Med talk based on a 2011 study of his that mindfulness training was twice as good as gold standard therapy at helping people quit smoking. The participants weren't even told that they couldn't smoke. They simply had to be mindful and curiously aware of the experience of smoking. As Brewer says of one participant,
what she discovered just by being curiously aware when she smoked was that smoking tastes like shit.
More importantly, the participants were told to be as aware and mindful as they could about the sensation of craving a cigarette. They noticed that the experience of craving a cigarette was just body sensations, tightness, tension, restlessness, and they learned to detach themselves from these feelings. In fact, the default mode network seems to directly stimulate emotional reactivity. Emotional reactivity causes people to, for example, act on cravings. When someone is craving a cigarette, there is a lot more activity in the posterior cingulate cortex, a major node in the default mode network of the brain. So, by toning down the default mode network and its inner chatter, meditation allows you to better focus your attention to your experiences and be okay with not acting on every uncomfortable feeling in your body. Just because you're irritable doesn't mean you must have a cigarette. Just because you're hungry right now doesn't mean you need to eat low-health, high-convenience foods. And you don't need to respond to every slight feeling of boredom by checking your phone all the time.